into hellish condition in the next life for committing sinful acts. Nevertheless, in spite of such knowledge, one is forced to commit sin again and again, even after performing acts of atonement. Therefore, what is the value of such atonement? Sometimes one who is very alert so as not to commit sinful acts is victimized by sinful life again. I therefore consider this process of repeated sinning and atoning to be useless. It is like bathing of the elephant, for an elephant cleanses itself by taking a full bath, but then throws dust over its head and body as soon as he returns to the land. This second shloka describing the bathing of the elephant is a favorite of Srila Prabhupada's. He gave a wonderful, fluent lecture to this spellbound audience, explaining how only the process of devotional service can fully eradicate the desires that lead a person to commit sinful acts. To illustrate this point, he told the story of Migrari, the hunter, who had formerly taken great pleasure in half-killing animals, but after meeting the great saint Narada Muni and becoming a Vaishnava, was reluctant to even step on an ant. Although he stressed the performance of tapasya as a necessity for spiritual advancement, he also acknowledged that in this age concessions were required and given. Tapasya means beginning with brahmacharya, celibacy. We have given the meaning of tapasya, austerity or voluntarily rejection of material enjoyment. I do not like to do something because it is not pleasing to me, but for the sake. I do not like to do something because it is not pleasing to me, but for the sake of advancement in spiritual life, I must have it. Now one may say that if I give up all these things which I am habituated to, there will be some painful condition. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita has recommended to tolerate, even though it is painful. It is not at all painful, but for those who are trying to practice, in the beginning it may be painful. Bhagavan Krishna is advertising that even it is painful, you must do it and tolerate it. Sometimes to cure our disease, for example, a fever, we have to swallow very bitter, genuine pills. Not genuine, it's quinine pills. Maybe it's wrongly printed. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, considering the people of this age, Kali Yuga, he knew that people would not be able to tolerate even such little pain for advancing in spiritual life. So he therefore recommended Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam kalavan asteva nasteva nasteva gatayanyata. The evening ended with another presentation of books to new life members. As the devotees showed a film, chanted, Prabhupada returned by car to the house. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned here that only by devotional service the purification is profound. And what does that mean? This purification is profound because the most profound activities that we are carrying out is desire. We have come here by our own desire, and if our desire becomes purified, we're able to return back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. So this is very profound, just like we gave the example the other day. Prabhupada gave the example. Sometimes there's a forest fire, and the bamboo is all consumed by the fire. But as soon as the fire stops and there's rain, again from the roots, new bamboo grows. Similarly, we may atone. Like Prabhupada used to always give the example of the church. You go to the church and confess your sins, and you also, the priest gives you something to say, something to do, like pray. So many Father, Ave Maria, and I don't even know it in Spanish. Well, anyway, so then 3 Ave Marias and a couple of Padre Nuestro in Spanish. And then you also ask to put a donation in the donation box like that. And then you go out of the church, leave the church, and you commit exactly the same sinful activities again. So the desire to commit sinful activities is not really solved. It's not really purified. But by chanting the holy names and by dedicating ourselves to devotional service, occupying our senses, mind, intelligence, and our living energy completely in the service of Krishna, this is a very profound purification process. And our desires become changed. Like Baba mentions here, sometimes somebody might be told to do certain things which are very difficult to do. Just like Baba says in the beginning of devotional service also. One becomes attracted to the temple, to devotees, maybe he reads books, starts reading books also. And in the beginning normally, even Prabhupada in the beginning, Prabhupada wouldn't tell people to follow the principles immediately and all that. But Prabhupada taught us, actually we should attract people first, attract them to what is very nice. Like dancing, chanting, and eating prasad like that. And then gradually everything else is introduced. So the important thing is that we actually occupy ourselves in devotional service by following all these, there's 64 principles in devotional service that we always hearing when we read the Nectar of Devotion of Sri Rupa Goswami, that we're always hearing about these principles, 64 principles, and then he goes into detail and explains every principle more elaborately. And so this devotional service is actually a great blessing, especially the chanting of the holy names. It goes very deep, and Prabhupada even mentions here, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, kalavanaste, vanaste, vanaste, vanatinaniyata. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way than chanting Hare Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna. Kale dosha lide rajam asti hekom hanguna, kirtanareva Krishna se mukta sangha param bhajet. Like I mentioned this verse many times. The Kali Yuga is compared to an ocean of faults, unlimited faults, bad things. The Bhagavatam actually says that by the day, tatashtanu dinam dharma, like by the influence of time, every day, all the good qualities are disappearing or diminishing. And there's a whole list of qualities that are diminishing. Like I remember the last third word, Ayur Balam Shmiti. Ayur means longevity, I say, longevity. Lebensdauer. Lifespan, that's it. Yeah, thank you. Lifespan is becoming diminished. Ayur Balam, physical strength is diminishing. Smriti, memory is diminishing, and all the other qualities are diminishing. It says that the verse says, by the day, all these qualities are diminishing. So actually, like I said, there's an ocean of faults or mistakes, but Ekamahanguna, there's one quality very special in this age of Kali Yuga. Eko, one, Maha, quality, special quality. And what is that? The chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let's stop here. Any question? Or any comments? Huh?
I have a question.
Oh yes, of course.
What is the пример Köln? Let's example Прастана, которому нет смысла омываться.
With the self-fund, that it makes no sense to get into the bath.
Sorry?
That it makes no sense to get into the river to bath.
Yeah.
This illustration about elephant.
Yeah. You speak English yourself. Why do you have a translator?
But I don't speak good.
Okay.
This elephant, when he go to river, after that he put dust in.
Yes.
But after that, people must think. I do simple things. And usually after simple things, I go to church and do some purification.
Yes.
But now I heard from Hare Krishna, it's not no sense. After hearing Hare Krishna, after hearing books, Hare Krishna books about this elephant, I think it's no sense to do purification after things. And after that, I think I do sinful activities, but now I no go to church, no go to purification because it's no sense. I just do bad things and all.
Yeah, but it's a gradual process. First you have to, if you become conscious that there's sinful activities and there's consequences of your sinful activities, gradually become more conscious about it. And that means it's like karma yoga. Karma yoga. You try to avoid the sinful activities and you become more conscious. Become more and more conscious. And in the end you realize that actually yes. And that carries out to jnana. Jnana. This whole process, like in the 10 Commandments in the church also. This is the same idea, that you become more conscious. You wake up and you realize your mistakes. And then, more you become conscious, you also tend to become more renounced. Because there's so many useless things that you're acquainted to. Like you become a vegetarian, maybe. By the good association and all that. And you realize that also intoxication is useless and all that because you want your consciousness more clear, like that. And then by good association, if you start reading, you're fortunate and get a Bhagavad-gita of Srila Prabhupada, and you try to you start searching and you go, you meet the devotees, go to the temple, sadhu sangha. Bhajana Kri. First you go, equipped with some faith because you read some book or heard some, or you associate with devotees. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kri. You become more serious in your devotional service. Anartha Nivritti, so you become more renounced. You accept only things that are favorable and reject everything that is not favorable, like that. And in this way But the good thing about devotional service or chanting Hare Krishna is that this is the special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He introduced us directly to devotional service. You don't have to go life by life, evolving in your spiritual life. But actually you just, you associate with devotees and Hare Krishna, and there's so much realization all of a sudden. Your heart becomes purified. So the idea is also in the Vedas. For example, there's in the Puranas. No? They divided into 3 categories. No? Dedicated to the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. And a part where ignorance is more detailed, how I say, religious practice and the mode of ignorance, is that, for example, Prabhupada gave the example, I just heard the class the other day, where Prabhupada said, those kind of people who eat meat, okay, you can eat meat, but under rules and regulations. You know, you can, for example, it says that you can kill a goat, you know, once a month. You know? And the rules and regulations are prescribed that for example, you have to have a goat that is black. Then you have to kill the goat at midnight when there's no moon. You know, how you say it? No moon. Then you have to kill the goat with an axe, cut off the head. And this has to be done in the presence of a Brahmana. And the Brahmana speaking a mantra to the ear of the goat. You know? And the translation of the mantra is, now my dear goat, I'm taking your life. And I'll give you the opportunity to kill me in the future. So if this is done consciously, then all of it, then of course, you know, we become more aware. What am I doing here? You know. And also, you can also, how you say, take alcohol, but you can't buy it. You have to produce it yourself in your proper laboratory. How you say this? No? And it's very complicated. No? It's so many complications. No? Then also, it's expected when you follow these the principles, then you become more conscious. No, you become more enlightened and illuminated. You start thinking, what am I doing here? You know, like this. And also, you know, if you attach to sex life, then you're supposed to, you're attracted to the ladies, then you're supposed to marry. This is one thing Prabhupada introduced in the beginning. When Prabhupada came from India, in India at that time, I don't know about now, you know, it was a custom that the girls were all married. They were all married at very early age. And the parents were how you say, looking for the wife or the husband. No, they didn't go to club at night and search out some something easily available. No? But actually, they're supposed to marry. When Prabhupada came, like I said, when he came to the West, he was surprised to see all the boys and girls were just, you know, together like that. I remember when we started going to India, we noticed that also. We noticed that the young boys and young girls were never together. Or they only had young boys here and young girls there. No, it's not like in the West. So when Prabhupada saw that, he gave instructions. He said, you get married. And Prabhupada himself made the ceremonies of marriage at that time. There's photos still. You know, yeah, just like that. Anyway, so then after passing married life for some time and complying, you know, following the principles given and recommended in the Shastras, all these principles have the aim that you become more and more aware of what you're doing. You become more conscious. You become purified. And in the end, yeah, that's like Bahunam Jamanamanti Jnanavamam Papadanti Vasudeva Samamiti Samahati. Normally it's life after life, after many lives and death. Now, if one actually acquires the proper knowledge, one surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes. Such a great soul, Samahatma Sudulava, is very rarely to be found. Anyway, so then what else? No? Drugs, and also, how you say, gambling. No? There are also rules. I heard that Schach, what is Schach in English?
Chess.
Huh? Chess, yeah? Chess. Actually comes from India. Yeah, comes from India. Yeah. The Kshatriyas were, playing Shach. Anyway, so it had a more meaning also. Had much more meaning. You find all these things you find in the Shastras. With the aim of not degrading yourself more and more, but actually to elevate you, to purify you gradually. And now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, that's why it says that Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most merciful incarnation of Krishna. I hate to say incarnation actually. When we preach in Spanish, incarnation is it's not really a good term for us. Because actually carne, in Latin or Spanish, is meat, and reincarnation, that means you take a body of meat, like earth, water, fire, like that. Actually, when Krishna comes, it's not an incarnation, but actually the real term is avatar. He descends. He descends from the transcendental plane and becomes visible by his mercy, becomes visible before us. Anyway, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was described as the most merciful form, avatar of the Lord. Why? Because he introduced us directly to devotional service, especially to the chanting of the holy name, without wasting any more time. Yes, that's the way. That we are very blessed actually to have found him. Hare Krishna. It was a long answer, no?
It's good. In Russian, we also, in Russian incarnation, also take body.
The
same, like in Italy. Spanish.
Yeah, reincarnation.
Reincarnation. In Russian also take
meat.
Body. Meat,
yes. Meat.
Take body.
Here people don't. Here people don't get it because they have no connection to Latin. How you say? No, this is actually Latin. So let's continue here. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. So we continue the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya, Lila, second chapter, 80th verse. Now what is the chapter's name, the title? Anyone knows? It doesn't go, I can't see it on my screen here.
Ecstatic manifestations of Lord Sri Chaitanya.
Sorry?
Ecstatic manifestations of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay. Buddhave Raja Vilase Yetina Vilase Yadneha Desvadana Haila Shri Radha Baba Sara Apanekari Agikara Saitina Vastu Asvadila. Somebody? Vilase Yetina Vilase Yatnera Svarana Haila Shriradhara Kamsara Panekarya Gikara Setina vastu asvadila.
Purve vraja vilase yetina vilashe.
Yetina vilase.
Yatneha asvadana haila.
Yadneha asvadana haila.
Shri Radhara Bhavasara Apana Karyangikara.
Shri Radhara Bhavasara Apana Karyangikara.
Setina Vastu Asvadila. Vivaja vilase yetina vilase. Yadneha asvadana haila.
Shri Radhara Bhavasara Apane Karyangikara.
Vidara Bhavasara Apane Karyangikara. Actually, these first two lines, according to the Bengali here, it's only one line. The two lines only. Anyway. So, anybody else? We're finished? Purave, formerly, Varaja Vilase, in the pastimes of Vrindavan. Ye Tina, those three, Avilase, in desires, Yatneha, by great endeavor, Asvada, taste, Nahaila, there was not, Sri Radhara, of Srimati Radharani, Bhavasara, the essence of the ecstasy, Apane, personally, Kari, making, Angikara, acceptance, say, those, Tina Vatstu, three subjects, Asvadila, tasted, translation of the verse. Oh, there's no purpose. Anyway, during his previous pastime from Vrindavan, Lord Krishna desired to enjoy the three different types of ecstasy. But despite great endeavor, he could not taste them. Such ecstasies are the monopoly of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in order to taste them, Sri Krishna accepted the position of Srimati Radharani in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very interesting, no? Especially related to Radharani's appearance day yesterday. No, it's interesting that Krishna was missing something. You know? Even though he's complete, there was something that was missing. And that was, anyway, we're going to hear now, I guess. Shishigonitai ki. No. It's very low, the connection. So we just continue. I only continue with Bengali. Apane karyasvadane sikhaila vaktagane prema chintamanira prabudhani nahi jane stana stana yaritare kailadana Mahaprabhu Datta Shiromani. By personally tasting the mellows of love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his direct disciples the process. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a wealthy capitalist possessing the touchstone of love of God, not considering whether one is a proper or improper recipient. He gives his treasure to anyone and everyone. Thus, he is the most munificent. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's capital is a touchstone of love of Godhead, and consequently, he is a great owner of that transcendental treasure. After making unlimited amounts of gold, the touchstone remains the same. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although distributing love of Godhead unlimitedly, still remained the supreme owner of this transcendental opulence. His devotees who learned it from him also had to distribute it munificently all over the world. This Krishna conscious movement, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his confidential devotees, is also trying to distribute love of Godhead all over the world through the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Now, this reminds me of one thing that Prabhupada said during the Vyasa Puja ceremony in 1969 in Hamburg. That Prabhupada said, now that you have become devotees, don't be satisfied with this. Actually give this Krishna consciousness to everyone. Distribute it all over. Prabhupada said, it's not enough to just offer flowers to the Guru, a garland and maybe some super prasad and all that. But actually, following the instructions of the Guru, he said, don't be satisfied with what you have, but actually distribute it to the rest of the world. Prabhupada called this was our family tradition, our family business actually. Family business. That we are saved, so we should participate in the mission to save others. This was a big difference. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur reawakened, so to say, his interest in Krishna consciousness, he was, for some time, he was looking for the books and all that. It says that Bhagavatam, it took so much time to find a bona fide authorized copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. And then he started, when he started reading it, he also started collecting Shastra. Many Shastras have been practically, unmanifested. So he started publishing books that have, again, like that, using the modern press. Before, we know that before books were copied by hand. And to possess books was a great fortune. They're very, to produce them was an ardent labor. To write them by hand and all that. And now we have the opportunity to print them. This is actually all made possible by Krishna. Of course, all these modern inventions like this also. This is very practical. It's actually very practical in devotional service. We have also telephones. I use this machine with a special purpose because my eyes are not so good anymore. Many of our books have letters too small to read, at least for older people like me. Anyway, so nowadays we have these machines, we can use them, but it's all like a double like a sword. High sword? No? Sword that is sharp on both ends. No? No? So it is when you're not conscious, you don't have your proper Krishna consciousness, you're not normal, so to say, or purified, then you use all these things for your own degradation and the degradation of everybody else also. But when we apply all these machines, this is yukta vairagya, real, how you say, renunciation, to put everything at the service of Krishna and his spiritual master. And falgu vairagya, these terms are mentioned in the Nectar of Instruction. So falgu vairagya, it's actually not from the Nectar of Instruction. What is that? Yes, but what book was that? I don't remember now. Anyway, so this is described. Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya is explained as you don't see things, connection or relationship with Krishna, then you renounce things that actually you could have applied in the devotional service. I have given many times this example. That one time Srila Prabhupada was shown a magazine, and on the cover of the magazine there was a yogi, and somebody was offering him a bunch of dollars, $100 bills, and the yogi continued to sit there and showing his renunciation. And then Prabhupada commented, he said, if somebody would have offered me that, I would have immediately grabbed it, because dollars or money is it's something very, very useful in devotional service. It's not, actually we say, it's not money, it's Lakshmi. It's the goddess of fortune. Actually this money belongs to Krishna. And if not properly applied, then it's falgu vairagya. Yeah. So how did I get there? Anyway, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our merciful Lord. He's our Yuga avatar. He brought us the process to become purified and qualified to return back to Godhead. Actually, in the Chikshastaka it says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was praying that it doesn't matter where I am, I just want to continue serving you. If it's a material world or spiritual world, on that stage, advancing in Krishna consciousness, it doesn't really matter anymore. Just like our acharyas also, Srila Prabhupada also. So he was, one time he met some Sankirtan devotees, and then the Sankirtan devotees were talking to Srila Prabhupada, and they said, oh, Prabhupada, we want to continue always. Here, distribute new. We don't want to go back to Godhead, we want to just distribute your books. And Prabhupada was very pleased. This is beyond, it's beyond. Just like yesterday was the appearance day of Radharani, Srimad Radharani. And the example, I think you gave the example that in your speech, that no, actually we were reading this in the morning yesterday, and so it said that this example was given. No, was it you? I don't remember now. That Krishna was sick. He had a headache. And so his servant went. I don't remember the name of the servant now. And he went. He went to the was it the Brahmanas? Something like that. The Brahmanas. And he told them Krishna has a headache. And what was the thing that they...
Water.
Huh?
Water for...
No. There was a consequence also. Yeah. If you do that, then this happens.
If you put water in your head, water should chaste woman take from river and put this pot in head, but in pot many holes.
Oh, yeah.
And this chaste woman should, through his chastity, put, how say, сохранить эту воду в этом горшке.
She should keep this water in the pot.
No, any so when the Brahmanas heard that, they didn't want to become compromised with that. Yeah? But the gopis, no, immediately were ready to accept anything if it was for.
It's different.
Huh?
It's a different.
Yeah, it's a different story.
It's
Yeah,
different
yeah.
story.
It might be more.
Oh
Yes. Yeah. And the thing that would cure Krishna was the dust on the feet, no, of the person.
Narada Muni.
Yeah, Narada Muni. Okay, Narada Muni meant so. So he was asking for the dust that would cure, help Krishna to become freed from his headache. Anyway, so when the Brahmanas said, "Oh, no, we don't want to get involved with this. This is very offensive," like that. And the gopis immediately started scraping the dust from their feet. No? And the devotee was very surprised. What? You don't know that there's heavy reactions if you put the powder of your dust of your feet on the head of Krishna. And they said, we don't care. The most important is that Krishna becomes purified or cured from his headache. No, we don't consider anything else. No. Anyway, so this was very, very special. It's a very nice example. Yeah, that this is a difference between pure devotional service, and formal devotional service, where you still consider so many advantages and disadvantages like that. In the end, we're supposed to just carry out the instructions that we receive, and without any, doubt or without any consideration. Pavel mentioned that many times. Anyway, so let's continue. We normally read and then speak and then we continue. Yeah, the connection is not so good here. Actually, connection is very bad. Sorry for that. Maybe I should read. Give me a book. You have a book there? Okay. E gupta bhava sindhu brahmanapaya eka bindu hena dana vilaila sangsare aiche dayalu avatara aiche rattana hiara gunake hanara vanipare. No one, not even Lord Brahma, can ascertain or even taste a drop of this confidential ocean of ecstasy. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, has distributed this love of Godhead all over the world. Thus there cannot be any incarnation more munificent than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no greater donor. Who can describe his transcendental qualities? So there's no purport, we continue. Kahivara katana hikahila kera kehana bujaye aichechitra chaitanyera ranga sevu hite pare chaitanya nera kripayandre hayatandra dasuna sasanga. Such topics are not to be discussed freely because if they are, no one would understand them. Such are the wonderful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And to one who is able to understand, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown mercy by giving him the association of the servant of his own servant. Purport. An ordinary person cannot understand the transcendental ecstasies and the mode of Srimati Radharani. Unfit persons who utilize them are perverted in the Sahajiya, Bauda, and other sampradayas. Thus the teachings are perverted. Even learned scholars in the academic field cannot understand the transcendental bliss and ecstasy exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pure devotees. One must be fit to understand the purport of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. It just reminds me of the Antya-lila. The Antya-lila, the last 8 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Puri. And there, it's mentioned Chaitanya Charitamrita, he carried this devotional service, or the ecstasy of devotional service, to a level unknown practically. Whatever Krishna does, actually Krishna is unlimited. So it had never been seen before. A person manifests an ecstasy that had never been manifested before. It's like it says, for example, that his arms went into the body. I say, he retracted his arms and legs like this, and all kind of other ecstatic symptoms. So, but it says here, they're very difficult to understand, especially for ordinary persons. And Prabhupada mentions, when they start speculating about these things, they become sahajas, or baula, like Prabhupada mentions here. They become offenders. And that's why we heard, we were reading, yesterday morning we were reading about Srimati Radharani. And Prabhupada mentioned that it's very difficult to understand Srimati Radharani. Actually, he said, we are not on the level of worshipping Radha Krishna. Actually, our worship is Lakshmi Narayan. On our altars, when we worship Radha Krishna, it's actually not worship of Radha Krishna. It is reserved for very, very advanced persons. Especially, we are on the platform of sadhana. What's that? Anyway, we are on a level on which we have to advance, we have to purify ourselves gradually, by the 9 processes of devotional service. And these principles of devotion are divided into 2 categories, like I mentioned it many times. There's sadhana, bhakti, and raga bhakti. And Prabhupada explained that the first 7 principles are sadhana, and the category is sadhana. And the 2 last principles on the platform of raga bhakti. So unless one is following the process of the 9 principles of devotional service, 7 principles of devotional service, there's no, you have no practically no entrance into the more advanced subject matters. That's why it says, Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Bhajana Kriya. That you actually start your devotional service, your spiritual life in practical terms, not just coming and taking darshan of the altar like that, and following social rules and regulations enunciated in the Shastras and the Vedas, but actually you become practical in a spiritual life, which starts with Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, hearing and repeating what you have heard, and Smaranam, meditating on these subject matters. In this way, gradually one advances in spiritual life as a Vaishnava. And then one is gradually elevated to the higher platforms, higher levels. And if you force yourself into the more advanced kind of stuff that Bhagavatam mentions here, you just create a disturbance for yourself and others. You become sahaja. You think that everything is cheap. We can become devotees just like that, without any qualification, without a practice, without accepting authority, without having a spiritual master. I remember once Prabhupada, I told you that many times, caught my attention. Prabhupada is performing a program in India. These Indian programs, and when Prabhupada was there, were very, very big programs, and thousands of people would come to see Srila Prabhupada and see and hear him. And there was a man who Prabhupada always gave people the opportunity to ask questions. And then one man asked, he got up from his seat and started speaking. So, and Krishna, this and this, and Krishna, and Radharani. And Prabhupada said, there's no question of Krishna unless you accept the Guru. This is the first principle. Amongst the 64 principles, Rupa Goswami mentions that you have to have a spiritual mind. You need a spiritual guide. You have to become humble. You have to serve. You have to start serving, following in the footsteps of the spiritual master, like that. Otherwise, you have no entrance to this, let's say, secret. This is the process. Anyway, so it's mentioned again here, that these topics that we're hearing about, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his very esoteric, esoteric pastimes, they can only be understood by devotees, and by devotees who are advanced, who are actually are executing devotional service, following the principles of devotional service. You have to become a devotee. It's not so cheap to become a devotee. Of course, there's many offerings, cheap offerings, in the world nowadays. But unless you are ready to pay the price, the real price, and accepting Guru Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra, you actually have no entrance to this. So the beginning is, like I mentioned, the beginning is Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing or reading Srila Prabhupada's books. In this way, you develop your faith, your conviction. But unless you haven't heard sufficiently, there's no question to how you say, have access to these most esoteric things that are mentioned here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What to speak of the pastimes of Srimati Radharani, Krishna and Radharani. So, any question or comments? Yes.
So I have a question about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he is a Yuga avatar, so in my understanding, and it should be the way that as many as the people as understands the Yuga avatar, because this is avatar for the whole Yuga. But why is this so difficult to understand him, and what is the reason of that?
Well, this is, like I mentioned, it's not so cheap. No? When you want to get deeply into subject matter, you go to university, go to school first and all that. You learn the basics, or mathematics, for example, grammar and everything. It's a gradual process. And it's, Krishna says, that if you want to know the truth, surrender to a spiritual master. Ask him questions in a submissive way. He can show the truth. He can show you the truth because he has seen it. That means you have to surrender, ask questions in a submissive way, and serve. These are the conditions. Yeah. Serve. But you cannot serve unless there is Shraddha, there's faith. And how does faith develop? I don't refer to superficial faith. That you accept something, reject it, and accept and reject like that. Like as we accustomed to the material world, in a material platform. But you should hear properly, with a proper attitude, and study, understand, ask questions in a submissive way. And as a consequence, if you start understanding things, that you do something practical. Notice it says that there's two terms, Jnana and Vigyan. Jnana means theoretical knowledge. Vigyan is realized knowledge. It's actually science, scientific. First, Jnana. First you have to study the basics here, from the Bhagavad Gita especially. Bhagavad Gita is the base of everything. It's like Prabhupada used to say, the ABC of the spiritual science. And Bhagavad Gita is part of the Mahabharata. Many times I have told this story when we were new devotees. At that time I was the temple president in Copenhagen, in Denmark. And we got an invitation to a theater about the Mahabharata. Somebody had made a Stück, wie sagt man das? A Theaterstück in English? Piece of theater? How is it? I don't remember. Yeah, and as the person who did that became very famous. He actually was famous all over the world for his theatrical way he presented his theater. Anyway, so he was traveling all over the world. He also came to Copenhagen. And he liked the devotees. He had some experience with devotees. So he invited us. And it was a very long piece. It was all night, starting at 7 in the afternoon and at night, and then going till, let's say, like 7 in the morning, something like that. Very long, So he invited us, and of course we were allowed to put a table with books also, like that. So we went, and we were sitting there and watching this, And when it came to the Bhagavad Gita, which is the center part of the Mahabharata, the most important part of the Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. Because Krishna is instructing his disciple. Actually, just to attract the attention to Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata is so elaborately presented to attract the attention of people. And then when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, this is the essence. This is the most important part, where Krishna is instructing his disciple Arjuna. And this is still there. After 5,000 years, this was composed 5,000 years, well, more than 5,000 years ago, the Mahabharata. Anyway, so we were waiting, eagerly waiting for Bhagavad Gita. When is Bhagavad Gita? And then finally Bhagavad Gita came. And just a few verses and no more. Because actually the person who had composed this, he didn't understand the importance of Bhagavad Gita. He gave much more importance to all the other, loving affairs and so many things, so many details. But Srila Prabhupada showed us, Prabhupada emphasized this point so much, that the Bhagavad Gita is the most important thing of Mahabharata. We have a senior devotee in our movement who was asked by the GVC, after Prabhupada disappeared, and he was asked by the GVC to translate the Mahabharata. He was very expert. He had a PhD in Sanskrit and so many things. Actually, he started at Howard in America, a very, very, prestigious university. Anyway, so the GVC asked him to please translate. And then he started. And actually his translations were presented in Back to Godhead. Every Back to Godhead had some part of the Mahabharata, how he was progressing and translating the Mahabharata. And then at one point, he didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't want to do it anymore because he said, there's so little Krishna. So there's so many details about so many sons, all these, how you say, all these family traditions and all that, wow. Actually, Prabhupada said Mahabharata means it's not just limited to India, it's a story of the universe. Story of the universe. Mahabharata. And when you read Mahabharata, you hear that from the demigods like Brahma, Shiva, and all great persons appeared from other places of the universe to be present when Krishna was there and all that. No, anyway, so he didn't want to do it anymore. And he didn't continue until now. Hare Krishna. Actually, we're ending soon here. Any questions before we stop? Yeah, du hast doch immer Fragen. He's always asking questions. No question.
Yeah, so
oh, you already asked a question.
Yeah. It was my main question.
Yeah.
So it means that for the most people we should give a mantra as the possibility, but to understand the leelas of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's not so easy.
Yeah.
And it's not in the beginning.
Actually, that's why Prabhupada said first Bhagavad Gita,
Okay.
then Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah. Bas. Yeah.
There is some purification in studying the Mahabharata also, and if so, why is that?
Yeah, I have it in my library here also. Big one. But it's actually condensed. Right? It's interesting. No? You get to know all these who's who, all the relationships and all that. Right? And as we are the devotees, when you become a devotee, it's not just stories, but everything is full of meaning also. Hmm? Full of meaning, deep meaning. Why? Because it's all connected to Krishna and his pastimes. All these people who appeared at the time, took part in the pastimes of Krishna, very special persons. Yeah. Just like the Bhagavad Gita. There's so many sessions of somebody asking questions and somebody answering the questions, like the universities, in the media. No? There's always discussions and questions and answers everywhere. Yeah? But the questions and answers, the Bhagavatam, it's just questions and answers. Yeah? But these people who are putting their questions and those who answer the questions are very, very special persons. They actually know what they're talking about. Yeah. They don't say, I think, maybe. No, they know. This is the difference. There's Arodha Panta and Avarodha Panta. Yeah? Arodha Panta means speculative knowledge, like scientific knowledge also. Yeah? They never come to a conclusion. They always have to, they discover some error somewhere and they have to make it better. And it's just a question of time, and again they have to revive it, or they discover all kinds of incompatibilities or mistakes like that. Yeah? Whereas Shastra, Shastra is Avarodha Panta. That means knowledge that descends. There's ascending knowledge and there's descending knowledge. The Vedas are Avarodha Panta, descending knowledge. What Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is perfect. Yeah? That's why Prabhupada gives the example. Everything the Vedas say is perfect. That means, for example, Prabhupada gives the example. The Vedas say that the stool of the cows is antiseptic. How you say? And it is used to purify the most delicate place, like altars, kitchens should be cleans with the stool of the cow. You know? And the Shastras say, yes, this is it. Everything that the cow produces is very important. The urine also is used in Ayurveda. Yeah? I remember that many years back, there was a president in India, and one of the things he became famous of is that he took urine, following the Ayurvedic principle. And the rest of them, they couldn't believe he's taken urine. Yeah. Just like Ayurveda also, becoming popular, Ayurveda. Because the traditional medicine, the Western medicine, there's so many mistakes and so many errors. You go to the doctor, and the doctor asks you what you have, and then he experiences with you. I say, well, try this. If it doesn't work, try this. And all these medicines have also reactions, opposite reactions. They start creating disorder in your body also. Anyway, but when you go to Ayurvedic doctor, the principle is you don't tell anything what is your problem. And the Ayurvedic doctor feels your pulse, the doshas, the different 3 doshas. And he detects the inequilibriums, how is it, of the doshas. And then he asks, are you having a problem with your liver? Are you having a problem with your cervicals or something like that? You have a problem with your eyes? And you just answer. It's not that you have to tell him everything. He discovers and just asks you questions like that. Yeah. That's different. Because this science, Ayurveda, is revelation, is avarodha. It comes from a platform, of a perfect platform. Descends from the spiritual platform. And Krishna appeared in the form of, what was the name of Ayurveda? Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari was an incarnation of the Lord. He was an avatar. Yeah? He didn't invent something. He was not like our modern scientists who invent something, declare something, and imperfect knowledge. Yeah. And he came at a time when the world was still pretty, equilibrium, how say it in English? Yeah, very balanced. Yeah. Because due to the influence of the modes of nature, like Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, and Tama Guna. Now in this age of Kali Yuga, Tama Guna is becoming more and more prominent. In Satya Yuga, Sattva Guna was dominant. That's why people had very long lives. They were living for thousands of years. And they were very healthy, kind of different condition. Nowadays, when you take Ayurvedic medicine, actually this medicine is also part of Kali Yuga. The potency of these medicines is that it's not the same anymore. Yeah? You understand? Yeah. Not the same anymore. How do we get there? What was your question again?
The question was about Mahabharata.
Oh, Mahabharata.
It brings positive reaction.
Yes, but Mahabharata should also be presented by authorized Vaishnavas. They don't change anything or speculate or present things that they like, and others don't say things because they don't like it, like that. This is a very special contribution of Srila Prabhupada. He presented Bhagavad Gita as it is, not how I think it should be or what the meaning is. No. Prabhupada emphasized this point, Bhagavad Gita as it is. And you can see the result. When Bhagavad Gita is presented as it is, it has its effect. All over the world, people are taking Bhagavad Gita as it is serious and become devotees, become Vaishnavas all over the world. Before, nobody would become a devotee. Actually, the first presentation of Bhagavad Gita was at the time of what is that? Goethe, what is that? That's in the middle of the last century. What is that? 1940 or something? No, 1840 or something like that. Yeah, the first translations of Bhagavad Gita came, no? Appeared in Germany. No? And quite a few intellectuals started, poets, and started reading Bhagavad Gita. They were very impressed. But nobody became a devotee. But when Srila Prabhupada came to the West and he gave this Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any change, without any likes and dislikes, no? But Prabhupada just presented the mission, the words of Krishna as they are. All over the world, people are becoming Vaishnavas. No? That's like here in the temple, we have so many nationalities present in this class. There's devotees from Russia, there's a devotee from Belarus, what's that? Belarusia? Belarusia. Yeah. We have a devotee from Nepal, no? Nepali, and you? From what? Huh?
Gauradesh.
Oh, okay. She's from Hungary. She also comes from Russia, no? Some part of Russia. Yeah. You're Indians, no? Yeah. And that's why Prabhupada said that these are the real United Nations. Yeah. The United Nations in New York. Yeah. What is passing there is every time they meet, they have more flags. Instead of uniting, they become more separate. Yeah. Yes? You want to say something? No.
Tomorrow.
Huh?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. But I mean related to what we heard here.
No.
No? Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Where are you from?
Bangladesh.
Oh, Bangladesh. Bangladesh. How did you come here?
I actually am from Bangladesh, but I was brought up and I grew up in Oman, the Middle East.
Oman.
Yeah, Middle East.
Middle East, yeah.
Yeah.
So you Middle East?
Yeah.
You have a nationality?
No. We have nationality of Bangladesh.
War das okay? Ist das aus oder an? Es war aus oder war an?